Every minute somebody in the United States sustains a burn injury that requires treatment, and unfortunately children are a large statistic. Kids are really susceptible to burn injury because obviously they require a lot of adult supervision, and also because their skin is really thin, so they're more likely to sustain a deeper burn injury in a shorter period of time. In our unit data, the most common overwhelmingly has been, for the last 28 years that I've been there, injury that has been sustained by hot liquids such as hot water or coffee. And then a close second to that is scald injuries that have been sustained by soup or by ramen noodles. And unfortunately, ramen noodles are really sticky and they retain heat for a long period of time. And so the injury is more likely to be deeper in children again because they have the thinner skin and are less likely to be supervised and to know what to do in that situation.
My mom had gotten home from the store and she bought a cup of noodles, and my brother cooked some for me, and he took the lid off and I asked him to get me a fork. And he tried to put it in the bowl, and then it tipped over and got on my hands and legs. My parents hurried and got me in the shower. I went in the ambulance, and then they took me to the U of U hospital. They said that I was burned and I had to stay there for a little while. I went home and we had to do wound care twice a day. It hurt a lot. I had to have a skin graft. It's like where they take skin from parts of your body and put it on different parts. I got it right here on my thigh, and they took the skin from like the back of my thigh right here. I think you should be safe with fires and have an adult help you get food out of the microwave so it doesn't fall on you.
I think the biggest thing is that as adults, we often recognize the dangers and we take for granted that children know as well. And many times when we're around the stove and the oven and cooking, that is a dangerous area, and kids often get burned as they try to get their dinner or whatever. I think if you look at it from a kid's perspective, you know, good things come from the stove and the microwave. Their macaroni and cheese and their ramen noodles and things like that. And also, you know, if something's boiling over, there may be bubbles that bubble onto the stove, and we know kids are intrigued by that and like bubbles, and so little kids may not realize that that's dangerous. But I think that's the biggest thing is helping parents to recognize and know that just because it's safe for them, don't assume that your children know as well and that it's safe for them.
We at our house don't have cup of noodles anymore. We haven't yet. If we were to have them again, we would definitely make sure, like anything like that, or ramen, went in a good solid bowl, just the form of the cup of noodles, it just tips so easy. So I would say this is possible with like just soup or anything, but for sure cup of noodles, if you're gonna have them, make sure that you put them in a bowl that's stable and sits on the counter and can't be tipped easily. It would prevent a lot of burns.
So many things, so many foods are so dangerous, especially from the microwave, and you just don't realize it. And I mean, a few times a day, something like that could happen. You have to be very careful. A lot of things we did with that were done right. I mean, we had an older kid who got out of the microwave and it was fine, but little kids should not be getting anything out of the microwave. It's so easy for those things to tip over, and it could have been worse certainly had it fallen on his face or his head as he was getting out of the microwave. And so many of those things just need to think about it and make sure your kids realize how dangerous something can be, and have an adult or an older kid there helping, and be really careful how you're eating and how hot something is when you give it to little kids.
So obviously some of the preventative measures would be to monitor kids at all times that need supervision, but as a parent myself, I know that that's really a tough call. Practicing Scald safety around the kitchen area is particularly relevant. If you have a hot beverage, then place it in a travel mug so that when you place it on a table, small little children that want to be just like their mom or dad or brother or sister don't pull an open cup onto themselves. Usually they're looking up and it hits them right in the face. So a travel mug is a really great preventative measure. In fact, we usually say to folks, got a kid, get a lid, because hot liquid burns like fire and people don't realize that. If you've sustained an injury, then to remember the 4 C's. That would be cool it, clean it, cover it, and then call for help if you need assistance.
Also, when you're cooking, try to use the back burners if possible where they're out of reach of the children, and turn handles away from the edges so that they don't reach up and have a tendency to grab and pull those things on themselves. One other thing, people tend to forget sometimes that they're water heaters. We love a hot shower and it feels really great, but at the same time, those water heaters can heat that water up enough that it can scald children. And when they're in the bathtub, they can inadvertently turn on the hot water or reach up and grab it. And so if you can set your water heater temperatures a little bit lower at about 120 degrees, maybe the medium setting, that way you can still enjoy a warm shower, but you're not putting your kids in danger. I think the biggest key is education. We want to help children learn. Obviously, the end goal is to have our children be self-sufficient and know how to cook and take care of themselves. And that's the key as parents, is providing that education and helping them to learn, helping them recognize not only how to do it, but some of the dangers that are involved and how to avoid those dangers.
Interestingly, I just read an article from 2011 that talks about 2-year-olds being old enough to operate a microwave. So that is opening a microwave door and placing liquids in there or soups in there, etc., and then also taking that out. I had no idea that 2-year-olds, 90% of 2-year-olds actually.
I think in general, any paramedic or emergency response worker will tell you that responding on children who've been hurt or injured is very difficult emotionally for a number of reasons. Obviously, the children are innocent, and you can see that they're in a lot of pain. There's also a lot of pain associated with the parents and the family, emotional pain. And it is a difficult situation for responders. It's not something that any of us enjoy at all, responding on children.
So at the University of Utah Health, we are happy to take anyone that has sustained an injury, because as we think about it, even if you sustain an injury to just your hand, that can cause severe long-term damage, and oftentimes that's where a scald injury does occur. So I think the thing that's really important to remember is that when a burn injury has sustained, it's life-changing, and in some cases can be life-threatening. And that's really important to note. There are some freak accidents that occur, but for the most part, most burn injuries that we see come through our unit could have been prevented. And to remember that it just takes a split second. So for everyone to be aware of your surroundings and to be aware specifically of your children's surroundings to prevent injury from occurring.